Hello, YouTube, and thank you for sharing your time with me. It is very important that I thank you for sharing your time, as time is something that you can never get back. And I am very appreciative that you have selected me to spend your time with. So, thank you. I have several thoughts that I wish to share with you today that I have not had the opportunity to construct in a tightly knit, cohesive package for your consideration. But I do hope that you will be tolerant of my various thoughts and that we can explore together your thoughts and maybe expand on the thoughts that are presented to you. A problem always arises when a group or an individual is thought of as the official voice, ambassador, or representative of the majority. I do not pretend to serve as such, nor do I acknowledge the Black Church speaking for the Black community, nor do I appreciate the likes of others speaking for the Black community. At most, they, meaning various individuals, represent the mindset of their particular following. So, I hold no allegiance to these institutions or people. When I support a person, it is due to their ideas and demonstrated character. When I support a group, it is due to their presented objective and consistency within that objective. Actual function versus public image. When supporting individuals, I acknowledge that at a particular time this person made a fine point, has performed an action I see as noteworthy or honorable, or presented a worthy theory or hypothesis, and this is all she wrote. Nothing more need be stated. With this said, let's advance. There are many people who are upset over the president's support of gay people. I would like to address this and its social and political satellites. For the record, I have not been shy in expressing my discontent with many politicians. Our current president is not exempt, though he possesses a few attributes that I like. Most assessments that I construct regarding an individual or their performance or their character is going to be a mixed bag. Also, I never thought I would see the day where a man of color would occupy the White House. However, I always expected, if you had your own voice and was not willing to compromise your principles, you would not be allowed to participate. Yes, allowed to participate. Let's just say I would hold myself suspect if I did not hold President Obama character suspect due to his admiration of one named Brzezinski. Not exactly sure as to the appropriate pronunciation of his first name. I will search for an article that may give you more insight as to why I feel this way. So you may want to check back later if you do not see it readily in the low bar. I mostly am not pleased with our president. I am not here, however, to present an analysis of his work. But I will share in short what I think about him. Hopefully, by doing so, my following assessments will not be tainted by certain predictable rhetoric. Then I will shift into a more conventional social commentary. If there is a need to expand on my thoughts, I will. If there is a need to make clarifications, I will do my best. Like many of our presidents, many of them, especially within the last 30 years, like many, President Obama has added to the general assault on the Bill of Rights. Let's say I can never forgive him for signing the NDAA, nor could I overlook his continuing the support of the Patriot Act. or his signing of H.R. 347, which is commonly known as the Trespass Bill, and specifically known as the Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act of 2011. Nor can I or will I make excuses for the specific executive order known as the National Defense Resources Preparedness, or the NDRP. His allowance of the bombing of Yemen, Pakistan, and Libya with depleted uranium is chilling. His acceptance of drones disturbing, not to mention that Guantanamo is still open. This all makes me ill. It also bothers me that he allows various alphabet agencies like the DHS, the NSA, the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA to operate unchecked. So hopefully we are clear, I am not a fan of his performance. But I am more than willing to be fair when thinking about his performance and his actions. I am not biased towards him. At least I have seen no bias within me. First, I would like to clear something up before we proceed. It is my opinion and observation that American blacks have been saddled as homophobic. Yes, there are some who hate gays or are afraid of them. This is not all-inclusive. I shouldn't have to say this, but I am making this point in order to be clear. Yet, it is easy to push generalities for the purpose of social sanctions and appealing to moral hierarchies. Face it, these people with these restricted mindsets exist in every group. Practically speaking, I see blacks that oppose the equality of gays as foolishly playing into the hands of old oppressive paradigms or anti-liberation, restricting others to a place of fearful silence, or taking it upon oneself to feed the machine that limits their rights as citizens is repulsive. I have witnessed a general disdain for gays within gangsta rap. I have observed many black Christians use biblical doctrine to paint a negative picture of gays. I have witnessed them challenging the veracity of their homosexual brethren just because they are homosexual. I have seen people, not just blacks, show hostility against homosexuals instead of dealing with their own sexuality issues. I do think black people are more willing to be forthright about their opinions regarding this topic, despite the possible PC aggression. Outspoken does not equate to homophobic. Outspoken people are easily seen. This makes it easy to typecast them. They also provide great shelter for those who may carry the same worldview that are not as vocal regarding their thoughts. For the record, gay people are not saints due to being self-gendered directed or a protected group. So, do not bring to my doorstep that blacks are gay haters. Keep your sweeping generalizations. I personally know many gay people who intensely dislike hetero or bisexuals. I know many who are racist and are driven by class agendas. I know plenty who shoulder a fundamentalist mindset. Also understand, I suspect many of you would not be addressing these gay issues if this was not the flavor of the month. So let's not be pretentious. I am not convinced, no matter what the president has stated, that his endorsement comes from a sincere drive to cement equality within America. Even if it did, his current actions amounts to nothing significant. I find his movements to be primarily strategic. This counterfeit move is mostly good public relations meant to appease an influential group. This really is nothing but another distraction. Let's face it, the gay lobbying machine has plenty of clout. I may be wrong, but this is how I see it. Also, for those of you who are upset, why invest so much energy over this support of homosexuals? I am appealing to your practical side. He is doing nothing to actually change the reality of gays or those in the LGBT community. If I am incorrect, if his current action is indeed changing the landscape of this reality that they face day in and day out, if I am incorrect in this assessment, please explain to me how. He has resigned all productive possibilities and heartache to the state. I see this move as strictly a short-term investment with little potential for long-term payout. I personally think marriage equality is not as heavy as other more demanding issues. This is not to suggest that this issue should be abandoned. I do think instead of fueling the public relation machine, it would be better time spent to attend to global radiation management and nuclear power plants. How about Agenda 21 or addressing misleading nutritional claims by food companies or ethical food labels? How about slaying the evil that is Monsanto, the criminality within the private prisons, or privacy concerns, or the outrageous amount of incarcerated black men that we see every day within the industrial prison complex, etc. I do find it convenient, based on my current understanding, that some gays would equate their struggle to the civil rights struggle of blacks. I understand that contention over marriage is connected to civil law. However, more than anything, I see this as contention of definitions. If we did not see marriage as an institutional bond or business arrangement between solely a man and a woman, then equal treatment under such would not be an issue. This fight is basically constructed in terms of bad and good or a moral argument. So we start there. Okay, let's start there, and then take that result and configure it by legal language, because that is the reality that we're facing here. This then becomes part of the rule of law. Again, we have to decide if the current state of equality exceeds our current law. So, in reality, this battle is about how things should be, or interpretation, and the nature of reality. It never made sense to me why this is not an issue of marriage law versus civil law. Would not the focus be to determine that marriage law actually has misidentified marriage? Misidentified marriage. This would have to be the answer in my book in order for it to be redefined, which is essentially what we are attempting to do, or to settle on the current definition, depending upon which side of the argument you favor. Also, I see the civil rights movement in its historical sense. Seeking marriage equality does not equate to having to struggle in all facets of society. It is not the new black, and I resent that with a passion. Now, the phrase civil rights for some has morphed into a catch-all expression. I do not favor this, but it is the reality that we are facing. One that is for all people, regardless of race, sex, age, disability, and national origin. I see this as a conflation of the evolution of the popular definition that we have currently versus the civil rights movement. With all of that said, let's wrap things up by me saying this. My position on the equality for gays is this. They like any adult, should have the unencumbered ability to engage in consensual agreements. I do not find their coupling to be immoral, and I frankly think that many in society have treated them poorly. And I don't suggest that the majority of people need to bend over backwards and kiss their ass in order to promote equality. We should all be able to live together. Unfortunately, there are many in our society who do not share this mindset, and they make it much more difficult than it needs to be. So, please get back to me. Let me know what you think in regards to the thoughts that I've shared with you. Maybe you can help me to expand my worldview, and maybe I have helped you. Who knows? Thank you for your time.